Hey friends, it is that time of year again where I get to say welcome back to the garden. Now, as you can see, my garden did take a little bit of a hit over the winter, but I did put my garden to bed appropriately, and so it's not too messy up here. I just have some fencing issues to fix. I wanted to come with you real quick though and check on my garlic that I planted last year. And as you can see, I never really got around to mulching my garlic, but it did okay. I can't remember exactly how many cloves I planted, but I counted 51 that have come up. And we did have some pretty torrential rain over the winter, and some of the cloves got a little uncovered and a little displaced, so I just pushed the dirt back up around them and tried not to fool with them too much. Now you'll see pretty much my garden is ready to go. I do have that one bed that is still pretty overrun with weeds that I need to tackle before everything starts to wake back up, but for the most part, my garden's pretty neat and tidy. Now, last year, I had a really set in stone plan for my garden, and I ended up changing everything at the last minute. So this year, I just have a loosely based list of what I would like to do, and I'm just kind of going with the flow. Anybody that's been here for a while knows I'm kind of a chaos gardener. I don't take it that seriously. Plants want to grow, and I'm not going to interfere in that. And if everything is working fine, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, I'm just going to try to make sure that I plant enough of everything that I want. And if I have any extra space, that'll be for the fun stuff or the experiments. Now, I'm not starting everything on this day. I'm just starting about half of my list. I have another half of seeds I want to start directly in the garden, and then I have some things that I'm just going to purchase plant starts when the garden section opens at Lowe's. Now, last year I started all of my seeds in my office, but this year I'm doing something a little different. I went ahead and I bought a rolling shelf and I hung my UFO saucer lights from each one of the shelves. That gave me 4 lights and 4 shelves. And I just used a surge protector and I used duct tape to kind of wrangle up all my cords so it wasn't a big mess. And I'm using the Vermont compost again this year to start my seeds. I had really, really good luck with this stuff last year, and I like it because it already has a little bit of food in the soil for your seedlings. You don't have to sweat when the first time is you need to fertilize. So I went through all of my seeds, and these are some of the things I'm starting on this day. Now, I've never had any luck with ground cherries, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a shot again this year. I tried 3 times last year and couldn't get them to come up. But, maybe this will be the year for that. I'm also going to be doing tomatillos again. My tomatillos did really well last year. Of course, I'm going to be doing Napa cabbage. I really enjoy making my own kimchi, so Napa cabbage is a must. And we like bok choy, so I'm going to plant a bunch of bok choy this year. I'm going to do mammoth basil and Italian large leaf basil again this year, although I imagine I'm going to have a ton of volunteers of these because I let them all go to seed and there was seed everywhere. So we'll have to play that by ear and see how that goes. I have some pretty old bouquet dill seeds here, but I'm gonna try to use them anyway. And if they don't germinate, it's not the end of the world. I'll just buy starts from the store. I'm going to be doing the dinosaur kale again this year, and of course the curly Scotch kale. The giant noble spinach that I tried last year never came up. I just heard some people have no luck with spinach depending on where they live, but we're going to try it. But the blue curled Scotch kale, I really enjoy this because it grows fantastically here. It tolerates the heat really well, and it freezes wonderfully. And I use it for soups throughout the winter. Now we're on to the tomatoes that I'm going to grow this year. Now, last year I grew determinate tomatoes. I grew Ruby Monsters. And they did really well, even though I just let them sprawl. I never even trellised them. But this year I'm growing all indeterminates. And I'm going to be growing beefsteak tomatoes. I believe I started 2 of each of the tomato types. I have some old beefsteak tomato seeds, but I mean, they're like really old and I just can't get them to germinate. So I'll probably end up throwing these out, but I did buy new ones. So I'm going to try the Goldie tomatoes as well, also indeterminate. And then I believe it was Heather from Sage and Stone Homestead sent me some Heatmaster tomatoes. I really wanted to try these because we live in close proximity to each other. We're not neighbors or anything, but we have the same climate pretty much. And these always did really well for her, so I'm going to give these a shot as well. And I saw these and couldn't resist because I love a green tomato, but these Aunt Ruby's German green are green when they're ripe, and I've never seen that before, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. I really enjoy a good tomato sandwich, so I think that would be a lot of fun to have a green tomato on my sandwich or in my salad. And then I have seen these everywhere, the pink Berkeley tie-dye tomatoes, and everybody has such wonderful results. They look like such a really meaty tomato. So I couldn't pass that up and I snatched them up and I said, well, we'll give it a whirl. I'm not going to be doing spoon tomatoes this year. If you guys go back and watch the videos, that was a disaster last year. But I will be going and getting one super sweet 100 cherry tomato plant from the store when they open. So getting started, basically, I just wet my soil. I've had it sitting out in my mudroom for a little while. I try to order everything I need for seed starting season in advance, and this has just kind of been chilling in my mudroom. So I just added a little bit of lukewarm water to that until it was wet enough that it would hold its shape. And then I'm just going to put the soil into these little, I think they're 2-inch pots, loosely. I'm not going to pack it in there. I'm just going to make sure that there's not like any big air bubbles or holes down towards the bottom. And I found last year that these did really well. I kept my plants in these little 2-inch pots for quite a long time actually before I potted them up to larger pots. Some of my plants never even made it out of these 2-inch pots, and because I bottom water, they still did okay. I don't think I ended up losing any of my seedlings once they came up and got their true leaves. So if you don't if you want to start in a smaller size cell, that's fine, but just know that you're going to have to up pot those like 2 or maybe 3 times before they actually go into your garden. For me, it's just easier to put one per each 2-inch pot. And then I have this little 6 cell thing that I got from the nursery last year, and I like reusing things. I just can't stand waste. So I'm going to go ahead and get my seeds started, and I'll show you what I came up with when I am all done. I'm not going to make you sit through all of that. So I ended up planting 3 noble spinach. I did 4 tomatillos. I did 2 large leaf basils, 2 mammoth basils. I went ahead and did 3 ground cherries and 3 dill. I don't know if either of those 2 are going to come up, but we'll try. I did 2 beefsteak tomatoes. I did 2 of the gold tomatoes. And that's what's in this tray right here. And then in the other tray, I did 10 bok choys, 6 Napa cabbages. I did 3 of the Scotch kale and 3 of the dinosaur kale. Actually, I may have only done 2 of the dinosaur kale. But I found last year that the dinosaur kale didn't get eaten as much as the Scotch kale did, so that's why I did more of the Scotch kale. And then down here, I did 2 Heat Masters, 2 pink Berkeley tie-dyes, and 2 Aunt Ruby's German green tomatoes. And what I'm going to do is I'll come back with a water bottle and kind of spritz all of these seeds down, make sure they've got a good amount of water on them. And then I'm going to cover them up with that saran wrap and leave them. Now I may end up, just because right now I don't have much going on, putting 1 of these trays per each one of these shelves until I have some more seeds to put up here. And then, everybody gets a little bit more light. These lights put off quite a bit of heat, so I'm not going to bother with getting my heat mat down. If my tomatoes don't germinate within, I don't know, 7 to 10 days, then I'll probably put a heat mat on them. So that is what I am starting so far for my 2025 garden. I will be doing vlogs a little different this year. I will just be doing a monthly garden vlog, and that way I can just give you an update on my plants and my garden and what I've planted or what I'm planting, and it doesn't get like super redundant. But leave me a comment, friends, below and let me know what you're starting for your 2025 garden and what zone you live in. Until next time, friends, happy gardening.